We are back. And Craig, another special edition. They're all special editions for us, right? I mean, every week is a special occasion, special edition, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
What's your hat say?
That's Georgia Tech, baby. You're
Oh, it is a Georgia Tech hat. I didn't have my readers on. I don't have
yeah.
my screen on. I have my screen on small so I can see my other screen at the same time. All right.
I got a
Um,
kitschy vintage hat. This brand
y-
called Vintage Brand online. I was like, what the hey? So I bought it. Yep.
yeah. Yeah. Why not? All right. We're going to jump right in. First of all, I have to say, because I just found this out 5 minutes before we jumped on, that the lead singer of Aha, who is, as you know, one of my favorite bands. I've actually talked about him on this podcast before.
Yep.
That
Absolutely.
I love the guy, Morton Harkett, and I think he's one of the greatest vocalists in pop history. I don't think there's anyone like him in the world
I would
of
agree with
pop
that.
music ever.
Yeah.
And it's just a shame. Take on Me, which anyone listening to this podcast, I don't care what age you are, you know that song. If you're 15 or 80, you know that song and you probably know the video.
Yep.
But then they never really had another hit in the US. They were massive in Europe. Of course, they're from Norway. I just recently watched the documentary. He was a great frontman too. He was at the time, he was cursed, honestly, by being, he was probably too good looking. I mean, it was a curse that even everyone flocked to him
Yeah.
and they ignored the other band members. It was kind of and it touches on that a little bit in the documentary. He was just amazing. And I'm saying I shouldn't say was, but having Parkinson's is just so sad to hear. And I hope they can do a tour maybe in the next year. I will go see them if I have to go, knowing that this would be the last time I could see them, and I've never seen them. I'll go. I'd fly to New York to see that show.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't have as much experience with them as you do. I'm kind of a I don't know. I'm just uninitiated with them. I know of them. I've listened to Scouser Days, great album, based off your recommendation, but I haven't really dug too deep with them. But I do realize their impact in Europe, as far as people know them here as a one hit wonder, but they're certainly not a one hit wonder there. And so, and
Yeah,
I hate seeing somebody that's that young, and he's not young, but he's way too young. And I hate anybody getting it, obviously, but to hear
right.
the impact on him, and it's going to affect his vocal cords and he won't be able to sing, that's just got to be gut wrenching. So best wishes to he and his family, and hopefully in some way, shape, or form he can find some source of way to heal. I don't know. Hopefully the
Yeah,
medical world moves quicker than it does now in the future. Let's just
yeah.
say that.
Well, and maybe he's another guy that can be a platform so that we don't have to have this happen for the next 50 or 100 years, because it seems so prevalent now. I didn't know
It does.
anyone
Yeah.
with Parkinson's growing up. I mean, you'd never heard of it, and now you hear about people in the limelight, celebrities that are getting it, and so maybe they can find a cure, and maybe
I
this is yet another
I
person that
just
can.
realized with the video call with my doctor, my general practitioner from Atlanta, he has it, and he's
Oh,
starting to show the effects of it. And I'm like, man, as a doctor, that's just such a great man too. So it's sad, it really is, and I'm just hoping that at some point we can find a cure for it, or some way to maybe you know stabilize it to the point where it's a little bit more livable. But like I said, best wishes to him, because he's a great guy, great band, and everybody around him spoke very highly of him. So
yeah. All right, I'm gonna leave you and the listeners with this. There's a song off of, this was a later album. It came out in 1990 called East of the Sun, West of the Moon.
I remember that.
The
Yep.
song is called Waiting for Her.
Okay.
Go listen to that song. It is one of the absolute best songs you'll ever hear. Just
Okay.
anyone listening, it's called Waiting for Her. It's just a beautiful, beautiful song. In addition to all the other ones in their catalog. But all right, we'll move on to other stuff. So our intention today, we're going to talk about Iron Maiden, and a band that's near and dear to both of our hearts. I mean, Iron Maiden for me was one of the original bands that I got into when I got into heavy metal right out of the gate.
Yeah.
When I saw Run to the Hills video,
Hmm.
on MTV way back when, I was hooked. And then through Peace of Mind and Power Slave especially, they were my favorite band.
Yeah.
And they haven't remained my favorite, I'm not gonna say that, but they have always been they're one of my favorite metal bands of all time, and I know they are for you as well.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It took me a while. I started off with some of the more, I guess, the poppier side of hard rock and heavy metal, and then slowly learned that Judas Priest wasn't evil and that Iron Maiden
Yeah.
wasn't evil, right? Because
Yeah, they're not devil worshippers. I mean, there
exactly.
are some bands out there that you go, "Okay, yeah," like we were texting earlier with Kevin about Merciful Fate. I don't listen to them, I won't. I
Right.
think that to me is just taking it too far. Iron Maiden always had a sense of humor, and
Oh,
really,
100%.
their stuff was all more history based, as we're gonna talk about with some of their songs and albums. But I have to bring up something that caught my eye this week in the news, and I texted you about this and said we have to talk about this. So their manager, and for as long as we've been fans of him, he's actually been the manager I think since 1979, and I've known his name for years. Rod Smallwood came out this week because they have a tour coming up called Run for Your Lives World Tour. They're going to play a lot of the older stuff, and he implored the fans. He said, "By all means, take the odd quick pick as a memento of a great night, but otherwise, please keep your phone in your pocket." And he goes on, there's other quotes in there, and I won't go through it all. This is in Billboard magazine, but it got me thinking about it because Craig, you and I go to a lot of concerts. I think I've been to close to 20 already this calendar year. You go to a lot. We've been to 100 between the two of us. I mean, we're probably
Thousand.
close to 1,000,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Maybe more. But over the last 5 years, especially, the phone thing's gotten a little out of hand at times,
Mhm.
and I do it too. You do it. I mean, we've been to shows together, and you do it. You and I don't abuse it,
Mm.
but there are moments where it's like, "Oh, this is my favorite song," or "Oh my gosh, this solo is incredible. I got to get this right."
Right.
And I love it, and then I'll share it with my friends. And I think overall, it's good for the bands because it is another way of virally spreading a band. Like if you and I were at when we went to Monophonics, for instance, most people couldn't imagine how good they were, and I would never get someone of my friends to go out to YouTube and watch a video of them or whatever. But if I take a 30-second video and then shoot it over to them, like, check this out,
Right.
it would grab their attention. And then they might go then become a Monophonics fan. So there is some value in it,
Yeah.
but it does get annoying, right?
It
People that
does.
do this the whole show
It
right
it
in front of you.
It does, and I've been guilty of it more of late because there's been several moments that I've wanted in the past to share with somebody, and I'm in the moment. So I don't
Yeah.
typically do it very often. I've done it discreetly, and I don't think about monophonics. I think of more of like GA20 when they played Hendershots. We were in
Yeah.
we were right front row in a table in front of them, and it was very easy to tilt my phone on the table and not
Absolutely.
distract them. And I got the best shot of one of the two guitarists. They both sing, but maybe basically the lead singer of that band for the most part. Um, and it's brilliant. It's a brilliant shot. I love that I got it. But 9 times out of 10, when I take a video or something, I don't do anything with it.
Yeah.
It's frustrating, and I've seen artists that get very frustrated with it. Going to see Kicks, the last time we saw him was the day before lockdown. It was on St.
Yep.
Patty's Day in Charlotte, and he made a comment to somebody about all the people that were taking photos, and one in particular just kept taking videos and stuff, and he wouldn't put his phone down, and obviously the lead singer noticed it, and he just made a comment of like, "Look, man, I'm right here, and you're right here. You're missing the whole thing. I know you want to
Yeah.
get this on video and stuff, but you are right here in the moment. You're missing the moment. I hope that you
Yeah.
enjoy this later, but you're missing the moment." And I'm saying it a lot nicer than he did. So,
Right.
and I don't blame him. I seriously don't blame him. But that's the one thing I took from the article more than anything else. I don't go to a lot of big shows at arenas, and I go to club shows for the most part. And Iron Maiden is an arena, huge auditorium, outdoor venue. They get thousands and thousands of people there. And so
Yeah.
if 10% if just a small percentage of people are on their phone, it becomes distracting to the band. And that's what he was saying is the band sees this and it affects them. Sometimes it's glare, sometimes it's a snap of a photo because somebody's got their, their flash on their phone, stupid stuff like that. So, and I remember doing that at a Posey show one time. I didn't realize my flash was on and it snapped, and Ken Stringfellow looked back over to the left. He caught it. And I'm like,
Yeah.
damn it. I was so embarrassed. I've gotten to the point where
Isn't that
I just don't.
isn't that where you looked at me and you're like, you shook your head so that he would think it was me instead of
Oh, for
you?
sure. I threw you
Like, I
firmly over
can't
the bus.
believe you.
I threw you firmly over the bus, and then I drove back over you as I backed over you. Yeah. No, I mean it's so I see why people do it because sometimes it's nice to capture that moment and share it with other people, but in the grand scheme of things, I'd rather not have my phone. I'd rather other people not have their phone because if you've got somebody, I'm not the tallest person, but I'm not short. I'm just of average height. But if I've got somebody in front of me that's 6'2", 6'3", and then he's holding his phone up like that,
Yeah.
I can't see
There's
anything.
there's got to be rules of etiquette, and no one seems to be able to follow it. I've actually been to shows where people record the whole show, and I'm thinking, dude, you're
That's
not even in the moment.
that's
Like,
the
how do
point.
you? Yeah, just wait till it comes out on YouTube and just watch it at home at that point. But I get it. Again, I think for smaller bands, it's better because it does give them a way to, like I said a minute ago, sort of, if I go see a band that 20 people are there and I record a couple things, I send it to you, I send it to Kevin, I send it to all my friends, and then you go,
Absolutely.
oh my gosh, this guy's amazing. Let me go listen to the record. And then that's how you can spread the word. And that happens every night across the country. A small band can sort of build from there. I have two suggestions. I have two ideas
Well,
to fix this
I
problem.
think you do too. And here's the thing I'll say, and I have a
Mhm.
guess of one of yours. I think it's very simple. I think it's a very simple fix in many regards. But the one thing I'll say about the article and his request was way too vague. Way too vague.
Yeah.
He said something to the point of like, keep the phone to like you described it, but that was towards the end of the article. But at one point, he initiated it by saying, uh, use your cell phone on a minimal basis or whatever. Well, what does that mean? Really? Like,
Yeah.
what define it? Define what you mean by that. Is it a second? If it 5 seconds too long, is 10 seconds too long? Is a minute too long? I don't know. So
Yeah.
but I think I have an answer, but you've already told me you think you do too. So I'm going to give you the opportunity to go first.
All right. I'll throw these two out there and we'll see if one of them matches, or you may have a third unique idea. I'll say this real quickly too. Yeah. If you're a person that records the entire show, a minimal basis would be just only recording half the show. Like, hey, I'm falling in line with what he said tonight. I'm only doing half the show. I mean,
Right.
minimal means different things to different people. So here are my two ideas. Number one, okay, the whole idea, and he said something about this in this article was, this is kind of an old school thing, right? We're doing the old show, the old records and so forth.
Yep.
Well, if you don't want people to record and you want them to treat it like it's a show from 1984, charge 1984 prices and say you can't record at all. That's one solution. I mean, if you
I
want to
like that.
if
That's
you want to
creative.
talk old school to me,
Right.
then give me old school pricing. Don't charge me $120 because I wouldn't have paid that
Fair
free
point.
phones.
Yep. Fair point. Yep.
Um,
I like it.
that one won't happen, okay?
No.
But here's the one that could happen, and I'm shocked that this maybe somebody's doing this already. If you buy a ticket, and everything's online now, if you buy a ticket, why can't the band itself have someone? If you're as big as Iron Maiden, you couldn't do this with smaller bands. Why can't the band itself hire a videographer to just use their phone and be at the soundboard and record the show? And then you have a code when you buy your ticket and you can log on to a website and it's a
Exactly what I.
one-time only code.
Right.
That would cost them $1,000 a night or something out of their pocket to hire someone just to record it.
Well,
And
not
then
only that, it's a
everybody gets it.
it's a missed revenue opportunity on their point because
Yeah.
you could either incorporate that and build that into the cost of the price, or you can do what Trash Can Sinatra's did at the end, which we thought at the time was brilliant.
Yep.
Right off the studio board of the recording of a live performance, they gave you a thumb drive at the end of the show. You pay $20 and you get a branded thumb drive, had the band
Yeah.
name on it. and it had
I have mine
a
there.
crystal clear recording of that entire performance from start to
Yeah,
finish.
amazing.
That to me was, and at the time I was like, shit, I didn't have, I don't think I had my wallet on me. I only had $20. I literally brought just enough cash to buy a couple of beers, and I'm like, I don't have anything. And I ended up buying one after the fact online. I just, like an idiot, just brought in my ID and $20. But I thought that was brilliant. And you kind of stole that stole my thunder there, but I figured we would be on the same basis. I just don't understand. If the band doesn't do it, then the venue should do it. I think that should be something that venues should get involved with as well, because the venue is equipped. They know exactly what the layout's like, right? They know exactly where the good angles come from. I feel like it's a perfect opportunity for them to do something as well in partnership with the band. And maybe they share the revenue, right? Because the band's getting paid from the venue in some aspect, shape, or form, especially some of the shows that we go to. So I don't know. I just feel like to me, that's something that take it out of their hands, because this is not new. This is something that Jack White did several years ago, where you literally had to put your phone in a bag and hand it to them, so that they knew you weren't using your phone. And a lot of people were up in arms about that. But I get it. I totally get it. But if you're going to do that, if you're going to restrict that, then offer something that you've done on your end, whether it's the venue or the band. And like I said, I feel like it's a missed revenue stream. That's something that you could do as an upcharge, as a, there you go. That's something you can do as an upcharge, or you could do it as a premium VIP package, something.
Yeah. Yeah, something. Yeah, so anyone that watches this on YouTube is gonna go, "What is Shawn doing?" I was shuffling through drawers, I was trying to find it, but this is the thumb drive, and it says Trash Can Sinatra's, Into the Music. It's a red thumb drive. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. No one else ever did this that we saw. I love this idea,
Yeah.
so I think that would be perfect. But yeah, we won't solve this problem today, but I think that is a missed opportunity. I agree with you. Maybe we should go offer to do it for venues and make some money off of it. Um, maybe that's something we do. All right, we're going to talk about Maiden while we're at it, because they are back in the news, and you and I love them so much. By the way, I got to put on my as I was going through my drawer looking for that, I found my Killers. I've got a Killers button from when I was a young lad. Can you see this? It's like a
Oh, nice.
yeah. I've got a few. I've got like four different. Back in the day, when you'd wear your denim jacket, and you'd have your favorite metal band. It was such a metal thing to do back in the day, right?
I
So
have
I had
my
a couple of Iron.
I have my
Oh yeah,
Peace of Mind rock koozie, and then
yes.
they released. I got
Oh
this with a 6 pack of their Trooper Ale. It's an English
oh
ale,
wow,
so got a
that's so awesome.
6 pack of coasters with a 6 pack of beer, and so I treasure those things for sure. Good
They
stuff.
have done a brilliant job with the marketing of Eddie the Corpse through the years. I mean, just brilliant with all the stuff. I've
Yep,
even got some of their CDs that were packaged, you know what I'm talking about, in the boxes, and had the little mini Eddie. Everyone had a different figurine in it based on the album, and that was really brilliant. Okay, so you're going to do your 5 favorite Maiden albums, and we'll fly through this, and then
sounds
I'm going to go through my 10 favorite Maiden songs. So
cool.
you want to fire away?
Yeah, I'll fire away. And like I said, I'll go pretty quick, rapid fire with this too, and I won't get too in depth with it. But all right, so starting at 5 for me, this might be a surprise to some people, but I'm going with the very first album. Paul Di'Anno was the original lead singer. He's on the self-titled Iron Maiden album as well as Killers, the button that he showed earlier. 1980, this is where it all started. The reason I love this album so much is because they were never as raw as this. It's kind of like Metallica with Kill 'Em All as compared to Ride the Lightning and Master of Puppets. Did they become a better band? Absolutely. Does Killers have a better production and maybe the songs are a little bit more fleshed out? They are. But I think Iron Maiden, I'm more partial to that self-titled debut album because it's just kind of like a thrash punk album, but you can hear the roots of where they're getting to. So 1980, self-titled debut album from Iron Maiden. That's my number 5. Number 4, Seventh Son of a Seventh Son. It could not be any more different from the Iron Maiden album. Um, this is probably where I started to notice the synth a little bit more than the previous albums. It's definitely a little bit more lush, if you can ever call an Iron Maiden album lush. This is definitely, there's a little bit of a softer, more theatrical side to it. Something about that album I just love. Seventh Son of a. But Can I Play with Madness? I love that song. One of my favorite songs. So, great album. That's number 4. Number 3, people will be shocked that I put this at number 3, but I'm just being honest. Number of the Beast, the first album with Bruce Dickinson, is mine. I mean,
Yeah.
seriously, you talked about Run to the Hills, and that album is brilliant. But I think they topped it. I really do. I think they outdid that album. It's phenomenal. Bruce is just absolutely amazing. You talk about a new lead singer coming in. The only other band I can think of that topped it is AC/DC. Even though I love Bon Scott, and
Yeah.
losing Bon Scott
I'm
was
with you.
huge, but good Lord, when Brian Johnson came in for Back in Black, I don't know how they got bigger, but they got bigger. And that's what
Yep.
Maiden did. They got bigger with Bruce Dickinson. And Number of the Beast is just, for his debut album, is brilliant. Um, Number 2 for me is Power Slave. I
Mm,
love Power Slave. Something about this band and opening tracks, Aces High. Oh my God.
yeah.
I love
Yeah.
that album. I feel like it was the perfect, I felt like to follow the album that it followed was hard to do, and they did it, and they almost got there. I mean, I'm nitpicking because I'm talking about 5-star albums here. There's 3 back to back.
Yep.
Number 1 for me, of course, we've talked about this before, Peace of Mind. I freaking love that album. It's perfect from start to finish. It's the perfect. They're not thrash metal. I don't know what I need Kevin here to define their style. It's heavy metal. It's a little bit of thrash. A little. I don't know. It's just. I don't care. It's just perfect rock. And I think Peace of Mind to me is, if you're gonna go in and start with Iron Maiden, that's where I would start. Honestly. So there you go.
Absolutely agree. And those two, I would have had a similar order. So I'm glad we didn't do both our favorite albums or our favorite songs, because we'd had overlap. But for me, no question, Power Slave number 2, Peace of Mind number 1. I don't know. Number 3 would either be Number of the Beast for me, or it probably would be Number of the Beast. I Somewhere in Time is way up there for me too. I really love
I
that
think you would
album.
have Somewhere
It's
in
hard to
Time for
pick.
sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was just on the outside. That would have been number 6 for me for sure.
Well, I'm about to give you 10 songs, and you're going to name 10 more that I should have put. And what I tried to do with my top 10 songs, because honestly, I could have really, because my 2 favorite records being Peace of Mind and Power Slave, that could be my top 10. It could just be
Easy.
Aces High, 2 Minutes to Midnight, Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner, on and on,
Yeah.
all the, and back to to Peace of Mind. Those 2 alone. But I wanted to spread it out. So I think I only picked 2 from Peace of Mind and 2 from Power Slave purposely. So here we go. I
Sweet.
added some stuff because I wanted to spread out a little bit. And I will say, I do love Iron Maiden self-titled debut album and Killers. I don't think I have anything from either one of those, but I really like both of those albums.
Yep.
And it's what you said, they're so raw. It's almost like punk rock with metal combined.
For
It
sure.
had a punk feel to it. Almost, Motorhead was the only other band to me that really perfected that sort of combination of feeling punk and raw and
Yep.
metal at the same time. They did it. Maiden did it very well. Okay, so here's my list. Number 10 for me, I had to go with this, and this was just so. This was so tough, but "The Evil That Men Do" from Seventh Son of a Seventh Son.
Yeah.
Love that song. I love the chorus. The chorus on that song to me, just absolutely incredible. Kills me. Number 9 is Alexander the Great.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I just love that song, and I love, and this will get into a couple of other ones that I'm going to talk about, but I love the history lesson. Can you imagine if you were in high school right now and you were studying Alexander the Great? Go listen to that song.
I know,
Go
right?
listen to that song, and it rhymes and tells you the whole story and all these different places. If you read the lyrics, you're like, how does he make that match? How does he fit that long word the river or whatever into his song. I mean, it's really brilliant.
Yeah.
Number 8 for me is Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner. I'll never forget in high school, we had a English lit teacher that was just trying to get us excited about poetry, which is, especially for guys, trying to get a bunch of 15-year-old boys to be excited about poetry is a damn near impossible.
Yeah.
But she played us Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner as a example of great poetry, and it kind of locked everybody in.
Nice.
And I love that song. That's when that's when they started doing epic songs. To me, that was the turning point.
Yep.
And they took that and they ran with it, and they do it better than anyone to this day, in my opinion. Okay, so that was number 8. Number 7 for me is title track Power Slave. That song Power Slave just kills me. It's always been one of my favorite songs by them. Number 6 is where it all began for me, from Number of the Beast, Run to the Hills. That video, the guitar, the drums in that song, it sounds like they are on a war. They're headed to war. They're on a war path. I mean, they nailed it just with the sound of that song. And when even then, they were already thinking about, I don't know if you would call it back then even social consciousness, but they were thinking about things in history, and they were talking about the wrongdoings of, Native Americans. And it's pretty cool if you go back and listen to it and you go, wow, they were already broadening their minds back in the early 80s, which nobody was doing that with heavy metal at the time. They were talking about partying and, chicks and everything else. But Iron Maiden was like, wow, they got serious topics here.
Yeah.
They're making you think, which I loved. Okay. So then my top 5, this was so tough, but I love the song, and I'm newer to this song, but The Wicker Man off of Brave New World. Love that song.
Oh,
I think it's
nice.
just
okay.
Great song. Number 4, I went with something off the last album, Senjutsu, The Writing on the Wall. That is a kick-ass song.
Wow, look at you going new. All right.
Yeah, I went back and listened. Yeah, it's a great album. I mean, and to me, The Writing on the Wall, it just sounds like something they would have done 30 or 40 years ago. But I mean, obviously they've evolved. They didn't just recreate something, but that could have been on Somewhere in Time or Seventh Son. It fits right in.
Right.
They just they have evolved, but also kept it really. They don't sound aged. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. They don't sound like an old band trying to still play heavy metal from the 80s.
Yeah.
And that proves it. Go listen to not you, but people listening, go listen to the song The Writing on the Wall, and you'll be amazed that these guys are in their 60s and it doesn't sound fake or forced at all. Okay. Final 3 for me. Any of these 3, well, the first song's always been my favorite, but number 3 for me, I talked about it a couple of months ago, Stranger in a Strange Land. That song kills me. That guitar riff in that song is one of the greatest metal riffs. It just locks me in every time. All right, so you're going, well, Shawn, you said Peace of Mind is your favorite album of all time by Iron Maiden. You haven't even mentioned a song from Peace of Mind. Oh, just wait.
Oh,
because my last 2 are both from Peace of Mind. Number 2, Flight of Icarus. I will never forget when that video came out. The morning that I saw that video, and I was already a big Maiden fan, Peace of Mind comes out, and back then I was so into them. I knew they had a new drummer, Nico McBrain, and I was like, oh, wonder if they're going to be the same or whatever. And boy, they did not disappoint. And that video was so awesome. Mm-hmm. Very dated now when you look back on it, but
still
the studio thing.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so great. I love it. He had that spit guard on his mic. I'd never seen that before, to that point, but that was live in the studio and he's like screaming into the mic. Such a great song. So that's number 2. Number 1 for me, I bet you can guess what my number 1, it's from Peace of Mind. What do you think my number 1 song is?
Where Eagles Dare?
No. It's their most popular live song from what I understand. You've seen them live. I still haven't, and I got to do that. Die With Your Boots On.
Oh, yeah, of course. You've mentioned that before, too. Yeah.
Yeah.
That would have been number 3 for me. Yep.
Hands down, my favorite Maiden song of all time. And it's always been. From the moment I heard that song, it's pretty much been my favorite, and I've never strayed from that. And now I can't change it. such a great song.
So, I mean,
So
you kind of hit the nail on the head. This is why I was so shocked it took me so long to get into Iron Maiden and Judas Priest. Because when you read the lyrics and pay attention, they're so well read. They're very
yeah,
educated. Like you said, it's a history lesson. And
yeah,
Run to the Hills is like, well, go back and watch that video. It's not, this is not a comedic thing that they're doing. They're educating you, and they're
yeah,
preaching something in a very non-preachy manner. It's just
right,
education. I just
yeah,
I this is why I love this band. Every time I see them, the times that I've seen them live, they bring that type of intensity, that type of energy, but they never get overly serious. You can tell they're still having fun, but they have a message. That's what I love about
yep,
it. I love the band, and I wish that I had more time with them, like back in my heyday, because I probably ignored them really up until the late 80s. And that's kind of
yeah,
criminal if you think about it. But it took me that long for somebody to say, look, dude, you listen to Metallica, you listen to Megadeth, you listen to these guys, or no, listen to Maiden. And it was
yeah,
peace of mind for me there, where it's like, what on earth is wrong with me? Why have
yeah.
I love them. Yeah.
I'm with you. And going back to Run to the Hills for a second, I mean, you think about the timing of that. That was what, 82, I think, 82 or 83.
Too.
I, I mean, no one was talking about Native Americans then. I mean, they were bringing that to, and they're a British band, and they're opening your eyes up to stuff. And he's singing it from the perspective, the lyrics and the story from the perspective
Of a,
of the Native American,
yeah,
and it's powerful. You go back and listen to it, and you're like, wow, they were really, really ahead of their time and doing stuff like that, telling a story, but like you said, educating. There was a message there, and they do songs like 2 Minutes to Midnight,
yeah,
which, as far as I know, it's all about World War II, right? It's about being bombed, and that was a very real thing in England during World War II, and they were constantly under the threat of bombings, right? And
right.
I think even the song by UFO, "Lights Out," in London, is also about that.
Yep.
But they were always telling stories with historical significance, and I
Well, it's
like that.
interesting to me that they're not known as that, and I guess that hasn't
Right.
really been their main platform per se, but a good portion of what they write is socially conscious in a very
Yeah.
similar manner to like The Clash. People know The Clash as being a very political,
Right.
radical band. So is Maiden, and I love both bands.
Yep.
I love both bands. I put
Absolutely.
Peace of Mind up there with London Calling, and that's London Calling could be the best
Yeah.
album of all time. So, but it's just interesting that I don't think people really know that about Iron Maiden. So, hopefully, if you're hearing this, you're watching this, whatever, go listen. You know what? Don't even listen to the music. Just go read the lyrics. Just go read the
Yeah.
lyrics.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a history lesson. That Alexander the Great is just a perfect example of that.
Yep.
And but yeah, one thing, okay, so segueing to our next episode, we're going to finish off pretty soon over the next couple of weeks. We have two more rounds to get through the 80s on that Rolling Stone magazine,
Yep.
because we made it to 41. So we have 40 to 21 and then 20 down to 1. So we'll have two more episodes of that. I think that either at the end of that episode or the following week, we should do our top 10 albums of the 80s.
Oh,
I think it'd be fun to, I know, really tough. Maybe we have to do top 20 and we just rattle them off.
I'm glad you're
But
telling
there
me
are
this
so many.
now.
Yeah.
Give me
Yeah.
some time to
You got to give you a
prepare.
few. Give you a few weeks to prepare for this. Yeah, I mean, I have in my head a list of albums right now that I could rattle off, and I'm not going to say any of them, but there's some albums from the 80s to me that are so essential. But I
Yep.
think it'd be a good way to wrap up. And this is, wasn't planned at all. I'm throwing this out at Craig, but real time. But I think it'd be cool at the end of that Rolling Stone thing to do our own top 10 or top 20 records of the 80s.
Do top 10 and just make it more excruciating.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it will be excruciating.
Uh,
And we'll have some stuff that's very different,
oh,
but
yeah.
we'll have a couple. I bet we'll have two or three that are the same, but I've got a couple that'll be surprising. But
I probably will too.
once yeah,
Yeah.
that'll be fun.
Yeah, awesome. I'm down.
All right. Well, we'll skip Uncut for this week. We hit a lot of topics today. But this was so much fun. I was really looking forward to this conversation, and we came up with some good ideas of how to. Mr. Smallwood, we have some recommendations. We have some ways to fix your dilemma.
Right.
If you want to listen to our podcast, anyone listening, if you know Rod Smallwood, send this podcast to him.
Yeah.
Right?
Send him all of our episodes, but start with this one.
Yeah, start with this one first. Yeah, I love it. All right, man. Another great episode. Thank you, everyone, for listening, tuning in on YouTube or Spotify or Apple Music. We appreciate the support, and we'll be back next week.
All right.